Welcome back to another Interview Wednesday here on Turnbuckle Trash Talk. I am joined once again by Mr. A1 since day one, Sage Scott. Big old facts.
Big old facts,
And
indeed.
we got a lot of facts to talk about because the last time we talked, you were saying you just needed an opportunity. You just needed a chance. You were hoping that they were going to take a shot with you. And the Midnight Tribe was just an idea. It was just kind of coming into fruition. Now, you're the de facto leader of one of the most dominant factions in ACW. You are the ACW Cruiserweight champion.
Big facts.
You had an insane ladder match at Bike Fest. You've done unbelievable, incredible things through the rest of 2019, and here we are at the beginning of 2020. You're holding gold, which you had hoped to be. You're leading the faction, which you were talking about doing.
Yep.
You've done all these things. What are your thoughts about 2019 as a whole? Because to me, it was the year of Sage Scott. What do you think?
Well, first, thank you for the praise and thank you for having me on again. You know, I live by that mantra, thoughts become things. If it's not a vision yet until you put it on paper. You know what I mean? So, like we said last time we were involved, like we were just kicking around some ideas. And I was like, I had a vision for a couple things that I thought might take me to the next level, and not only that, but elevate my peers around me, guys who I thought were like-minded and shared the same kind of ideology as me. Like we just figured we needed a shot, and it's real satisfying when you see it all just pan out almost exactly how you envisioned it.
Well, and if I were to tell you, or you were to tell yourself then, everything that you were going to do throughout the rest of the year, what would you have thought? What would your mindset have been, knowing that all of that, you were just on the brink, on the horizon of all of those things happening following that interview? What would you have thought?
Wow, I thought you was crazy because first off, I thought it looked like foreshadowing a little bit because it's like, you can kick around ideas. I'm sure everybody back there has pipe dreams of being heavyweight champion, a cruiserweight champion, combat champion, whatever floats their boat. But for me to say something, and actually carry it all out, and literally almost in the exact order, I would have thought you was crazy,
Well, you also coined a catchphrase that went so viral, I don't think I can go to a wrestling show that I don't hear it or see it on Facebook. Big old facts.
Big old facts, yeah.
You coined this catchphrase, and it just catches fire, like the world had been waiting for something like that to happen, to the point that you even trademarked it to keep that locked down.
Yes, sir.
Where did that come from? Like, what was the inspiration behind that? How did you think it was going to end up being what it was going to be?
I mean, honestly, I listened to a lot of The Rock, Stone Cold, some of their things they've said. I actually use them as, motivation when I'm in the gym, just listening to these guys and their, testimonies and, what it took for them to get to that level, And, one of the things that Rock would always say, he just, once they allow him to be himself, he just was himself turned up, the volume just all the way to the roof. And that's like a saying, that we use around in the neighborhood, whatever. I just started to be myself, who I would be outside of this ring, outside this arena. What you're seeing now is, almost the finished product of somebody who walks the streets every day. So this is not just a character to me. This is me in real life.
Well, one of the things that really stood out to me was before that interview, I felt like what was really eye-catching was your athleticism. But that's such a competitive market because wrestling is all, like, there are so many amazing athletes in wrestling now. And what I felt like at the time, and this is by no means a criticism, was that there was really not a lot of character for you there. Like, you hadn't found your lane yet in terms of character. And now I feel like the most dominant part of your character, your persona, what you present is character-based. And the athleticism is just like the icing on top of the cake.
Right.
So was there a moment or an event or some decision that came where you were like, I'm going to push the character hard and I'm going to worry less about letting the athleticism doing the talking for me?
Well, that's actually a really, really good question because it's like, and I took some of the things you said last time to heart, because you said just that, you felt that there was one flaw in my game. It was, I didn't show enough character. I didn't have, believability besides the fact that I'm an athlete. So I went to the drawing board just like I did when I played football in D1. You know, you scouted your opponents, you scouted competition, and you studied. Same thing I did. I would watch several wrestlers from different, stages of whether it was the indies, whether it was the main. I just kind of like looked at some of their mannerisms, looked at some of the things they did, and tried to apply it to what I do and something that will make me feel comfortable. Basically, like I said, being who I am, just turned with the volume turned up.
I was fortunate enough to be a referee for the match when you won that title, and it was such an honor and a privilege, especially knowing everything you'd been through, having had that conversation with you where you're like, I just want a shot. I just want an opportunity to show people what I can do.
Right.
And like the Cruiserweight title was your goal. You were like, this is the next step for me. I need to reach it. So to be there in that moment with you was amazing. It was magic.
Thank you.
Regardless of you being the bad guy on, in the ring at the time.
Right.
I felt so honored to be a part of that. Take me through that day. Take me through from the moment you found out that they're putting the title on you, that they're putting the machine behind you, so to speak. What did that feel like, and how have you used that to motivate you going forward? How have you used that to keep it?
Well, if anything, since winning it, I had to find that chip again because I was always, so I guess you could say bitter and angry because, things wasn't planning out the way I hoped it would, but I also stayed professional with it. And for me, I just, that day it was very, very emotional for me because it's like, man, a lot of these guys back there, that's the ultimate goal. We do this obviously because we love it, but, if any guy back there or girl says that they don't want to be champion, then they're crazy. Like that's like playing football and saying you don't want to win a Super Bowl. Like that just comes with the territory. So for them to finally see what I'm sure some of you already saw in me, but for management to see that, and like I said, to back me is like the ultimate honor. It means that I'm doing something right, and then I finally feel that I have my purpose in this business. Like for a long time, I didn't feel like this might not be for you. You might need to go back to doing what you can do, and maybe this experiment has run its course. But to see them, believe in me, and kind of like hey, listen, we already know you're an athlete, but now you have this other thing that you have drawability. You can actually, hold your own, character-wise. It was gratifying. I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely blown away. I didn't even think it was real, when they told me.
So we're not surprising anyone here when we say that wrestling is predetermined and that you knew going into that match you were going to win it. But tell me about the moment when you first put your hands on that title knowing this is mine. Like, I won this, I earned this. What did that feel like? What were the emotions you were feeling? I mean, of course, you were keeping up this Sage Scott, Midnight Tribe persona, but as just you, the guy behind it, the little kid in you that had dreamed about becoming a wrestler, like all that stuff, what was that moment and that sensation like for you?
Oh man, it was like you said, man. Like the kid in me was like the boyhood dream come true. It was like I had my family there, my wife, had my kids, I had a lot of my close friends who grew up with me, who knew that I was like a wrestling fiend growing up, and for them to be able to share that moment with me, I didn't feel like I was alone. I didn't feel like I was like doing it for just me. I have like hopefully a second generation coming up behind me, and they got to witness that. That's just not just cool for me. That's like cool for them. Like, oh my God, my dad's a champion. So it's like it was bigger than me. It felt like so. I just felt like I was numb. I was numb to it. Like I'm literally like they handed me the belt. And I'm like yeah, I know I just did something, but it's like this is me. This is mine. Okay. So yeah, that's the top 3 day in my life. I'm not gonna lie.
Now I want to talk about something behind the scenes that I really came to appreciate about you, which was you got this title, and that in itself is a huge thing. But you've said, now that I have this, I want to make it better. And not just in terms of I want to be the best cruiserweight champion ever. But physically, in the title itself, you've said, I'm going to shine this belt up really nice. I'm going to make whatever repairs need to be made. You took the responsibility on yourself to say, I'm going to leave this title better than I got it. And having reffed, the past 2 years, I've seen titles come in with broken rivets, face plates almost falling off. But your belt looks like it just arrived, like literally like it just came from the factory, brand new. Why is that? Like, what motivates you to take so much pride and honor in the title that you revere it to that level, to the point that you'll pull out a pocket if you have to keep that belt looking nice?
Because I'm first off, I'm a showman, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, and that's for that term, as you just said. I listened to a guy named Inky Johnson. He's like one of my god-awful inspirations. Like, he had a tragic injury that happened to him in football, but he became a motivational speaker, speaking to kids, and he's, changed my life for the better, And one of the terms that he said, that he wants to leave wherever he comes in a better condition than he found it. And whoever the next person is in line for this, my job as champion right now is to leave the division, leave the belt in the best possible shape that I can, because that looks good on me going forward. It's like, hey, this guy cares. Because a lot of these wrestlers, they're talented, but, do they care? They're just kind of like, I'm going to get booked, or I'm going to get belts because I'm great. You know what I'm saying? You can't deny my talent. But, there's the small details that, can go a long way. Manners, showmanship, accountability, things that a lot of guys take for granted.
It's true.
And I may not be the greatest technical wrestler out there, but everything that I can improve on, I have the power, the abilities to, do on my own. I'm going to do that to the best of my ability.
What was the reaction like, from the family, from the fans, from the community after this change, after all this stuff happened, after you won the Cruiserweight title, after the Midnight Tribe made such an impact as it did? What did you find to be the feedback from the people that you are more likely to take feedback from? How do you feel like they reacted?
Well, it's like a 50-50 with, about time. Other 50 was like, just the shock value was like, oh man, I
didn't know you could do that.
I know you could do that, because they don't know the ins and outs of wrestling. But it's like, man, like, I know somebody who's like a champion. Like, it's like knowing, Cena for them, because they don't, like I said, a lot of people who know me don't know me from wrestling, and a lot of them probably don't watch wrestling, but they know me. So it's also helping bring eyes to the product, because I have a lot of fans who are non-wrestling fans. From work and from, just walks of life. I'm a very social person, so I meet people from all different kind of backgrounds. So yeah, I would say it was a mixed bag of reactions and emotions, especially from family. It's like a long time coming, and they feel like it's just, I know for them it was like a very humbling and satisfying, situation to be in. It's like, hey, my son or my grandson's, a champion. He worked hard. They know the kind of work that I put in, and like I said, this business is not easy, and I'm sure for parents, people who have kids already. So like, let's just keep it real. A lot of the wrestlers, even on the main, they get homesick. They have to take a lot of time off. It's hard when you got to be away from home for any amount of time. So to be able to, like I said, they don't know the ins and outs and what we go through in our personal. So,
true.
So to get rewarded in this way, it all makes it come full circle. It all makes it worthwhile.
Something you said interested me, which is at the time that I'd previously interviewed you, you said you were in kind of a bitter place, and that you had just hoped for an opportunity, weren't sure it was even going to come, weren't sure that possibility was out there. Now you seem reinvigorated, re-energized more than ever. What advice would you give to somebody who was in the same kind of dark place you were? Like, what advice would you have given to yourself at the time, knowing now what this was going to be like? Like, what would you tell yourself to give yourself that motivation to keep going?
Never give up. Never give up. I know it's that catchphrase has already been coined, but it's true. Because like I said, I was close to like saying, you know what, we tried this, but if there's a will, there's a way. And like I said, one of the best things you could possibly do, in this life, if you hit rock bottom, have the understanding to know that the only way you can go is up. Like, if you're already rock bottom, like I said, there's nothing else. There's nothing underneath this floor. You can only go up from there. So you have to just sit back, wait your turn, and just be thankful and blessed for whatever little you get, and also as you are ascending, be kind to the ones that you meet and you pass on your way to the top, because they're going to be the same ones that you see on your way back down. So that's why you also have to keep that in mind as well. So
That's
even
fair.
as I'm climbing up this ladder,
You're not doing it at the expense of others.
exactly, because this can turn at a drop of a dime.
It's wrestling.
And it's
absolutely.
wrestling.
You could
And
have
that
the
could
best
be-
year followed by the worst year.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, 2019, everything that happened there, all those amazing events, changes, momentum. What are your goals heading into 2020? Because it's going to be a big year. We got WrestleMania here. You're the Cruiserweight champion. You're kind of the Nostradamus right now on Turnbuckle Trash Talk, because you called that shot and it happened.
Yep.
So let's keep that momentum rolling. What are you going to do in 2020?
Well, FIP and Evolve are like right on my radar, because there's still things I can do here in ACW, but I look around and I'm like, and not to be cocky, but like we said, like the one thing that we missed was missing from my game was character. Well, we don't have to
not
worry
missing
about
now,
it. We don't have to
no.
miss it anymore. So it's like, check your sheet. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be the best if I got that down. So why should I be playing with the best?
Well, and you had said, too, you weren't even interested in going elsewhere until you'd accomplished this one task in WWN, in ACW,
Exactly.
of becoming a champion here. So now you've done it, and it's really cool to see that you are looking now beyond it, that you're looking outward. I mean,
Yeah.
that's obviously not leaving ACW behind. You're still going to be a champion.
Exactly.
You're still going to represent, but it is really cool to see that your aspirations have kind of like increased now with this momentum and with this kind of like inspiration that being a champion has given you. So do you have any big plans for WrestleMania week? Are you already booked on any shows out there? What's going on?
I'm floating around with a couple of promotions. I'm because they're not set in stone. I don't want to push
Don't
anything
jinx
out.
it.
Yeah, I don't want to
Don't
push
jinx it.
anything out there that may or may not happen. But like I said, with all eyes on the Tampa Bay area for WrestleMania, I'm sure there'll be something for the ACW Cruiserweight champion. Just stay tuned, But the goal with all this attention is to get as much eyes on myself and on my group as I can, because like I said, I don't definitely want to feel like I'm leaving those guys behind, because I feel they have been instrumental in my success. Jackson Duvalier, David King, they've been, like brothers to me, literally. It's almost New Day-esque, it's like our bond in the ring and outside the ring. So, and I don't feel like I'd be right. I'm sure I may have got to this level somewhere down the road, but I feel like they were, very big cogs in the machine that get me to this point. And like I said, they're like my teammates. I feel like I'm LeBron. I gotta elevate my team, and so if I'm going up, they're going up with me.
Speaking of the Midnight Tribe, you guys were on top of the world when you experienced a setback in 2019, which was the injury of David King. However, somehow, through the work of yourself and Jackson, you guys managed to maintain momentum and kind of stay relevant in a time that it would have been very difficult to do so, having just lost kind of the juggernaut of your group. What visions or goals do you have for the Midnight Tribe going into 2020, whether it's in ACW or otherwise?
Well, I would love, and I guess this is like the Nostradamus moment,
Let's do it.
before the end of 2020, every member of the Midnight Tribe holding gold.
Draped in gold.
Draped in gold. Like almost, undisputed era, that I feel like, we have the look, we have everything you could possibly want, but we all don't have the hardware. So, and it's almost like validation for these guys, because like they're moving at a much accelerated rate than I did when I was at their point in my career. So that's, kudos to them. And also, like I said, I feel like I've played a part in that. So I would definitely like to see all of us champion. And if it's ACW, that's great. Anywhere. I just feel like that would be like the moment that, okay, we already made it, but now I feel like it's official. It's official. We're here.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of the questions that I hadn't even come up with yet in wrapping up the interview when we'd first talked. One, I want to hear your perspective on the overall landscape of wrestling right now. You know, we've got the Wednesday Night Wars pretty much in full swing at this point. You know, we've got companies changing stations, some of them losing TV deals. New Japan just recently lost their TV deal in America on Access. What are your thoughts about the business as a whole right now?
I think it's in good hands, but it's a lot of content. It's a lot of content going on, and I don't think that, you know, the millennials and this new generation, I feel like they're a little spoiled as far, you know, as like there's a lot of good wrestling that goes around, and it's like you can see some of the same stuff that you see on, you know, New Japan, or you might see it here. You know, it depends on where you are, what kind of reaction you're gonna get. So it's like we would have killed for this type of this much content back in the '90s, and when we were little. But I feel like they're spoiled with it. So, and their attention spans are, you know, not what they should be or what they used to be. So it kind of makes it look like wrestling is not doing so hot, but it's just, like I said, it's just the people. But the landscape, like I said, the Wednesday Night Wars is, I mean, I'm torn because I like a lot of guys, and I study a lot of guys on both sides and girls. As far as New Japan, yeah, that sucks about the TV, but it's New Japan. They'll find another one.
They'll make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
That's I mean, and then again, there's always the internet, so you won't, like, you're not gonna miss out.
You'll
on
find a way.
Exactly.
New Japan World's very affordable,
Exactly.
so you can still see it if you really want to see it.
And I'm sure a few of them may end up in AEW, or they might end up in the WB. Who knows? NXT. But I think it's definitely in good hands, and I think it's. Some people may not like it being so many different brands of wrestling and different, you know, but I think it's good for, you know, guys like us because, you know, now people's eyes are different. Like before, the goal was just WWE, you know, and that was it. But now you have options, you know, so it's actually good for us because, you know, it's like the NFL. Everybody can't play in the NFL. Just like everybody can't be in WWE. There's only so many spots that, you know, and sometimes you got to sit and wait for somebody to mess up or, you know, get busted for something or injury, God forbid, but, you know, that's how it happens, you know, retirements and stuff like that. So there's limited spots out there. So it's good to have options, you know, so that's always good for us.
What misconceptions or illusions did you have about wrestling when you first started doing it? Like when you went into it thinking, I thought that was going to hurt more, or I thought that was going to hurt less, and it actually hurts more than I thought it would. Did you have any illusions like that? Some, again, might be like, I thought there'd be better pay, or I thought, you know, I'd be working more, or whatever the case is. What were your misconceptions or illusions that you kind of dispersed by being in wrestling?
I thought in the beginning that it was all hokey and that it was just going to be like, you know, just a play, like, you know, but there's a lot of physicality that goes into it. And I've left here in a lot worse condition doing this than I did any other sport that I've been in. So I definitely got the respect of the business beaten to my head real quick. And I literally mean into my head real quick. And because we all remember my nasty fall out here. So it's not ballet like Taz would say. So definitely the physicality, I think that was like, you know, caught me off guard a little bit.
Finally, I'm going to coin a segment that Ref Tony Stabile named Take It Home. I want you to plug anything you want to plug, your social media, some shows people can check you out at, anything you want to talk about. Go.
This is your boy, Mr. A1 since day one. I want to plug my Instagram account, Mr. A1 Sage Scott. My Facebook, Mr. A1 Pro Wrestler. Stay tuned. 2020 is going to be a big year for the Midnight Tribe. We got merch coming. It's coming real soon. I get the inquiries about it all the time. Trust me, it's coming. But I'm like Leonardo. I like to, when it's finished, you know, I'm not just gonna throw out anything and make you pay all this crazy dollars for like some thrown together stuff. It's gonna be good quality, and you're gonna appreciate what you're getting from me. Big old facts.
Well, Sage, thank you so much for joining me, sir. I am the officiant, Kent Klausner, and we'll see you next week with another Interview Wednesday here on Turnbuckle Trash Talk.